Often the purpose comes before knowing much about the customer and other things. That's what you see a lot in entrepreneurship in particular. Strategy is really the art of finding and exploiting leverage in a competitive landscape to achieve your purpose. And the execution plan is really what comes after that, is how do you enact and iterate and learn through your initial strategy and evolving strategy. That's how I would define it at a really high level.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and then I'll chime in there. So I think, as Hadrien mentioned, the idea between a mission and a strategy are often very confusing for folks. And I know it's something I constantly mess up and still mess up to this day. I read a book that I would recommend to everyone who's interested in strategy. It's called Good Strategy, Bad Strategy. And one of the key lines, it's in the first chapter. I promise I've read the whole book, so I'm not just quoting the first chapter, which I sometimes do. But it's just, it says, simply being ambitious is not a strategy. And I think that's something that we often see happen when people are confused between a mission and a strategy. And I think KPIs then can help us, because a strategy then is really, the mission is the high level. This is our vision. It's tied to the vision of where we're going to be, who we are today, and where we're going to be. Strategy then needs to be a little more tactical in terms of how you're going to get there. And if you see a strategy that has a number in it or a metric, it's probably not a strategy. And that's where I would challenge everyone to think about, you have KPIs to test your strategy. And I think that's what a lot of our conversation is going to be about. A quick example I'll give is I was at a previous company where we were in a big strategic meeting, and the strategy was thrown out that we wanted to be the number one player in the space. And then we sat for about 3 hours trying to define that. And I'm like, this is not a strategy. This is a vision. The strategy should be, what are the tactical things we're going to do? Do we need, and this is where you start then looking at things you want to measure. And so that's where your KPIs come into it. But it's, how much time are we spending, or money are we spending on marketing? How much time are we spending at, low quality events where we are, missing out on opportunity to be talking to high profile customers? So those become the strategy. Let's spend more time, more dollars on marketing. Let's go to less events this year and focus more of our energy into sales. And then you create KPIs based on those strategic initiatives, and that tells you how you're doing. And so that to me is a good lesson that I live personally, of kind of understanding the difference between mission, strategy, and KPIs.
Yeah, I agree, Kevin. Yeah, and read the book. It is fantastic. And one of the things that they talk about in the book is that Kennedy didn't say we were going to go to the moon just because he was dreaming big one morning. He said it because he knew we had the tools and the levers to pull to get us there. So strategy really should have a sense of realism to it. And I think there's a reason we talk about it in that hierarchy of mission, then strategy, then execution, because strategy uses some of the same methodologies as execution, but some of the ambition that comes from mission. So what is it that, if you align behind it, what really are your levers? And then, as Kevin was saying, how do you know if you're actually succeeding? If you just say, we're going to be $1 billion company and watch the money come up and down, there's not a whole lot of control there. But if you look at it a little more tactically in terms of your market or how you're going to serve needs of your customers, you can really define a strategy that can succeed.